Alright guys, welcome to the new YouTube channel for Team OTL, a new and upcoming team showing a lot of potential on the North American server. I am Easy StarCraft, aka Pikachu on the North American server. Today I bring you a game between one Cruncher versus our Terran player Edge. Now Cruncher is a really famous player in Cole Gaming, I believe, that has a style of really passive but efficient way of playing, which is just sit on his ass and macro a lot of Colossus with double upgrade onto base. Now there is less ability for him to put pressure on in PvT, but later on his army is just so strong and so efficient once he has that double upgrade going on, and without putting on too much pressure at Cruncher in mid game. Later on the Terran player just suffer from his really efficient and strong unit composition and upgrades. Now our Terran player on this map, do know that this is a ladder game, so the player can spawn in these two different positions for Cruncher. On this map, usually we see Terran kind of favor for a relatively fast expansion, abusing this semi-small choke on the natural and also the long rush distance. Putting down a early refinery, putting down a normal refinery, I should say. Not really using that gasless expand. On this map, a lot of Terran player favors that gasless expand simply because you can just get your expansion up so fast using your extra mineral income and put down the bunker and get that number of marine to be able to secure your front rim. However, that is very vulnerable to any kind of gateway timing, including 3 gate pressure expand and also 6 gate later on. One Cruncher stealing one of Edge's gas, which is only going to eliminate a few builds such as Blue Flame Hellion Drop and also a Cloak Banshee, which is not really that efficient anymore as player learns, as times go on and player learn to how to deal with more kind of tech openings. If sometimes you don't do damage, you are behind against a early expansion build. Right now Edge is going for that marine tank composition, which is really good on this map and just a really solid way to take your expansion as a Terran player against Protoss. If you have any even one siege tank, you can just really shut down any kind of gateway pressure, including 3 gate, 4 gate, or even 6 gates on 2 base. The only thing is that if the Protoss player scout that you are indeed going for any kind of factory play with a reactor, there is sufficient information for a Cruncher right now. Stealing that 2 gas, he knows that the only composition that Edge can get is probably most likely a tank marine, which he can really put down an expansion really safe, even though on this map it's safe to put down a 1 gate expansion already. However, he can use that knowledge, use the scouting information, and know that there is no other barracks coming in, and he can just take his early robotic facility along with his expansion. In PvP, usually when you expand and take a really fast robo, it's not as safe. Usually you need to get other gateways up before and get several gateway unit before you can start on that robotic facility. Right now both players just trying to take their expansion in a relatively safe way, using the steel gas and gathering the information by Cruncher and siege tank marine composition from Edge. Now even though you guys probably haven't heard of this Terran player, however he is pretty high up on the ladder, or else he couldn't really like get matched against one Cruncher. The NASL Protoss boring ass champion. But I really like this style of play. It's not as entertaining to watch, but it's certainly efficient. And if any kind of player figure out a efficient way to play a certain race, which doesn't require much execution, you only need to know the build timing. You don't need to put any kind of pressure as Cruncher, because right now he is on like 2 base and 1 robo, and he's starting his robotic facility, robotic support bay already. That's going to mean that he's not going to have a mobile army. And what's more important is that if you start your robo so early, your gateway army is just gonna be so tiny. Right now we only see 2 stalker, 3 stalker and 2 sentry. This is such a tiny army for the Protoss player. However, he did have that observer in the front, making sure that everything is just as normal as it can be, while Edge getting supply block right now, even putting down a supply depot drop, which is not too good. However, if he can just macro up and don't get supply block again, it's not too big of a deal to get supply block once in a while. Wow, this is a really early, it's a kind of a early early Colossus. At this stage of the game, usually Cruncher favors a fast double upgrade, which I think he's gonna put them down relatively fast. Using this small choke, when you have Colossus and Zero Sentry, these chokes are just Terran is never going to attack here in mid game. It's just so hard, and against any kind of competent player, they can just use force field so well and cut your army in half, and just do a lot of damage to your push. Putting down those 2 forge upgrade, that's going to make his army much more smaller, however a lot more efficient in the later stage of the game. I really favor this kind of passive, just play really efficient and wait for a good timing, such as +1 upgrade, and wow. Edge right here moving out, Cruncher using observer, seeing opponents trying to take map control, and he really have to kind of do something to stop this tank and marine pressure, which he is doing right now. So smart, abusing the immobility from the Terran player, and just kind of force Edge to siege down otherwhere else. If Edge continue to, but Edge is so smart as well. Like, he is just slowly leapfrogging, making sure that he can really engage this Colossus army in a safe way. Because if your siege tank is caught off guard, like on sieging at the same time, and the Protoss player engage, you're just going to be in such a bad position. However, right now, Edge have all of the tank siege and slowly leapfrogging all those tank forward. This is such a meticulous play. Not really rushing in for the kill, just slowly making sure that he does not get caught off guard. This is so important for any kind of just using tanks in general. We can see Cruncher right here have a tiny army because he went for that 2 robo. Whoa, this is crazy. 2 robo along with double forge upgrade. This is going to make his army so small, however so strong in the later stage of the game. Right here, he is being siege contained by the Terran player Edge. Wow, this is looking not really good for Cruncher, although he does have the upper hand on the army count. However, Edge is really Edge is trying to take a 3rd expansion with this map control. We can see right here, Cruncher trying to warp several Zealot off the Edge, but no pun intended, but Edge is covering this Edge really well. The only way that you can deal with these kind of siege contain is to attack from different direction or counterattack. Right now, the Protoss player doesn't really have anything to counterattack with, so the best bet would be probably warping some units from the side and try to catch all these siege tank off guard. If you attack in one direction, the tanks are just going to be doing so well against... Whoa, what happened? This Colossus wandering off, getting 4 kills by himself, such a accomplishment. However, Colossus are really vulnerable at this stage, and all those Viking are coming in. Let's check out the Viking production. Double double Viking production right now, going in for the Terran player edge, and even putting down all those bunkers to prevent the Colossus splashing and the Zealots that's going to be coming in the near future, warping in several Zealots at the side. This is such a smart play. If you want to ever break contain, this is the only way to go. Wow. Three robotic facility churning out all those immortal. This is so crazy. I cannot wait for them to engage, which is right now he does not have the army come. This is only 3 immortals against all these tanks. I am not sure if he can handle this, and all the Colossus in the back not really dealing its damage. If you want to deal any kind of break contain from these kind of Terran player, you need to kill all these Marine. All these Marine are like the backbone, are like the fundamental support for this kind of push, and you need your Colossus to be in range. All those Colossus did not really deal any damage to the Marine. While Cruncher trying to warp his unit in, however, there's just so many Viking to be able to deal with all those Colossus. I don't really, all these robot facilities seems like they're not really doing the production that they should be, not as well as like I guess favoring more gateway army would help in a way that you can reinforce much faster. This is just looking so bad for Cruncher right now. Even Edge lending his Viking, there are no more Colossus on the field. There are just several Immortal and the Stalker, and right now even if Edge somehow lose this push, he can still just pull back and try to set up a good defense, because he knows that he has a substantial lead, phenomenal lead I should say, on the economy perspective. Cruncher finally defeating all these army, but wow, the income are just so different. Edge is in such a great lead, even doubling his opponent's income. We see new probes, we see other probes transferring to the natural, but Edge does has his third base up. All he needs to make sure is that he does not lose that economy advantage, and just play slightly passive from here, use that extra economy, and just overwhelm the Terran player, the Protoss player later on. All these meals coming down, this is so crazy, doubling his economy, doubling his income yet again. And Cruncher does not have the resource to make unit out of all these robotic facility, even putting down a third base, which is really risky, considering the fact that this is right in Edge attack position direction. In this case, I guess taking a side expansion would be more safer, abusing the immobility from all these tank army, and just get your expansion up much safer. This is such a small army as well. If you really want to hold on with all these kind of army, it's better to make more mobility and just trying to squint around from the side using any kind of there's no counterattack that he can do right now, so I don't really see him coming back out of this abusing mobility. Edge right here is so smart, putting down all these command center, gonna morph them into planetary fortress later on, and also all these bunker, and I would even like to see some missile turn or just one sensor tower going off. This is just a solid way to set yourself up for the third and the fourth base expansion in the mid game. Cruncher trying to get all these army out, also transferring all the probes right now. He does have somewhat a good economy, but wow, the Terran player is not even waiting for the Cruncher to get his third base macro kicking in, moving out with all those Viking, all those Marine and Marauder. They only have one upgrade. However, this is such a huge army. Even the Ghost coming in, going to EMP and deal all those damage. Oh my god, the Colossus are out of position so bad. All those Viking dealing the damage to the Colossus before they even engage the Bio Army. All these Bio Army even being force field, but are just going to do so well against all that all that tiny army from Cruncher typing GG out of this game. Congratulations, Edge, for being the superior player, using all those tank, abusing the timing, and just sieging up so carefully down the front down the front, and able to get your third up so safe. I guess that's it for this game, and hopefully I'll see you guys next time in other OTL Clan War and replays. Bye bye. Gonna